Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the whole family's home today. It's a holiday. I want to show you this commercial by Circle and remind you that, or not remind you, but I was told that this week, Link to my sponsor is going to be adding both Ripple and Circle private equity back onto the platform, which is exciting because 2024 is the year of the Circle IPO. They've already announced that they've already filed. So watch this.
2024 is a year of opportunity. Money is changing, it's evolving, it's innovating, it's getting faster, safer, more open. A new internet financial system is emerging, so money works for billions of people, from the biggest businesses to budding developers in the exact same way. We started with USDC, but it's so much more. The world's largest stablecoin network is a new platform, and it's open to all. It's open source, open access, open for business, open for developers, open for opportunity.
It is a money printing machine is what it is. Check this out. Circle World Economic Forum 2024 kicks off today in Davos. Catch this article pinned by Jeremy Allaire. So Jeremy Allaire is going to be in Davos, and so is one Ripple. I don't know if this picture was taken. I'm assuming it's taken in the last couple of days. Ripple and BNY Mellon. Go figure. Ripple is going to be there. You can see right here, Brad Garlinghouse is going to be there. Look, Michael Sonnensen, the CEO of Grayscale, is also going to be there. Let's see what else we have here. Clear-eyed about crypto. January 18th, Brad Garlinghouse is going to be, what are we, the 15th today. Brad Garlinghouse is going to be there on January the 18th. There's Ripple's profile. Brad Garlinghouse, this is not his first rodeo in Davos. This is last year. Here's a clip.
The rules, and I make sure we're following the rules, help them understand the rules. You know, I met personally with the SEC 3 times. Not once in those meetings did the SEC...
This is pre the SEC loss ruling in the case.
...ever say to me, hey, and by the way, we're totally transparent about what we're doing. Not once did the SEC say, hey, we think XRP might be a security. So then for them later on to go back and say, hey, the whole time we thought XRP was a security, we just didn't tell you. That doesn't feel like a genuine partnership between public sector and private sector. Moreover, and some of this stuff I'll be more vague about because some of this stuff, it hasn't been public yet. But there's something called the Hinman email. Bill Hinman, the director of corporate finance at the SEC, gave a speech in June 2018 about how ETH had been a security, but had magically become not a security. And there's some emails associated with that the judge ordered turned over 6 times. We finally did get those emails. And I think when those come to light, I think you will see more kind of like, how is it possible the SEC decided to bring a case against Ripple, given what they were saying within their own walls?
Yeah, and then if you look at the global regulatory landscape, where do you think is sort of on the right track? In the European Union, you've got this MiCA regulation coming in, which sort of specifically targets things like stable coins and exchanges. Is that a good first step? I mean, where do you see good regulation or good talk about regulation happening?
So I think MiCA is a good first step. And I also, maybe not dodging your question, I'll get there. But I think one of the things that I have been struck by is how much the U.S. regulatory discussion has dominated some of the meetings I've been in here in Davos. And it loses sight of the fact that globally, the direction of travel on crypto regulation is actually quite positive. You have more and more countries doing the work to codify and be clear. And these aren't small countries. This includes the UK and Japan, certainly here in Switzerland, Singapore, the UAE. You're even seeing countries like South Africa start to do that work. And again, instead of regulation through enforcement, it's actually, hey, let's take the time, let's partner with private sector to write down and be clear about those rules. So leaving the U.S. aside, I think it's actually quite positive. And yes, the U.S. is the largest economy in the world, but there's a big economy out there. And again, Ripple has thrived over the last 2 years, and we basically haven't been able to sell into the United States market.
All right, so that was last year. Check this out. We need to emphasize again the significance of an upcoming event. On Tuesday, January 23rd, all banks globally not in compliance with Basel III standards having funds backed by assets are expected to close. This could potentially set the stage for a global financial collapse, which proponents argue could be averted by implementing a reset of the global currency and assuming control of the global military alliance. What in the world? Now, this is interesting. This happened yesterday. In a failed Bitfinex exploit attempt, billions in XRP moved CoinDesk. I don't know if that is worded right. The failed token transfers spooked some market watchers as they mounted to nearly half of XRP's $30 billion market capitalization. The motive was to seemingly trick Bitfinex into taking the transfer as real, which could have possibly opened the door to a hack. However, Bitfinex systems flagged the transactions as partial payment, an XRPL feature that allows a payment to succeed by reducing the amount received. Someone attempted to attack Bitfinex via partial payments exploit. Adreno said on X. Attack failed, says, since Bitfinex properly handles delivered amount data field. Partial payments are useful for returning payments without incurring additional costs to oneself. These are known attack vector. XRP ledger transactional documents show if a financial institution's integration with the XRP ledger assumes that the amount field of a payment is always the full amount delivered, malicious actors may be able to exploit the assumption to steal money from the institution. The documents state the malicious actor withdraws as much of the balance as possible to another system before the vulnerable institution notices the discrepancy. And this was the CoinDesk article yesterday, feature. People are trying to, there's always people up to no good. And then I'll translate this before you watch this, but this is a Bloomberg research analyst basically saying, oh, well, only Bitcoin and Ethereum are on a pedestal. He just doesn't say why they're on a pedestal. And just as a reminder, Bitcoin, they say Bitcoin's a commodity, but that's just the opinion of regulators. They don't have a legal court opinion. They don't have a congressional bill that's passed. All it is the opinion of the regulators up to this point. That's all it is. It's in other words, like they all sat around and conspired to say, hey, let's say this is a commodity, and then we'll just push through an ETF and some futures and all of that, and then nobody will want to do anything about it. That's kind of what it feels like. But then, of course, we have the Bill Hinman speech that gave Ethereum, he gave a speech, and then Ethereum and the SEC and the CFTC conspired to get Ethereum a free pass. Though it has no legal clarity through courts or Congress, it has a special designation. The translation is corruption, folks. But according to this guy, oh no, an XRP ETF, that's maybe next year, but these others have clarity, when the irony is XRP is the only one with legal clarity. The ETF that should be being put out is the XRP ETF, not those two.
I believe he was on Bloomberg.
This is like one flew over the cuckoo's nest stuff, folks.
Stephen McClurg, Valkyrie Chief Investment Officer.
Like everybody's taking
made
crazy
a statement
pills.
that, look, after this Bitcoin spot ETF is approved, later down the line, we could see an Ethereum or a XRP ETF. Do you think that happens sometime later this year, given that we're headed into that bull market?
I knew this question was coming from you because we always talk about this. Look, I think so I've been telling everyone, the way I view it is Bitcoin and Ethereum are off on a pedestal on their own for possibly getting approved this year.
Notice they never want to get into the details. You'll never see any of these guys, and trust you me, they're in the tank with the whole Bitcoin Ethereum thing. They never ever get specific about why. What do you mean Bitcoin and Ethereum are on a pedestal? Why are they on a pedestal? You don't ever hear them talk about that because they couldn't talk about that. Their argument would be demolished.
Remote possibility would, I guess, be XRP, but I think that's not happening this year because unless the court case is completely done, right? They're still challenging.
This is one of the biggest financial scandals in the history of the world, and these people are all trying to pretend like they don't know it or see it until they're trying to get these futures and get these ETFs out so that people say, oh, okay, well, that's already done. We can't talk about that now. That's what's going on.
In court, right? It's not completely done.
There's so many
the SEC is literally fighting against Ripple in court. So, and not to mention, part of the reason why I think we'll get Ethereum and why I think we're getting Bitcoin, hopefully that tweet doesn't change anything, and why I think we're getting Ethereum is that we have futures already trading on the CME that are regulated by the CFTC, which is a regulated market. And then we have the futures ETFs, which also are kind of like pushing this thing along as well. So we don't have any of that for Ripple. So like I would take like way under.
In other words, we have a bunch of guys that sat in the room at the SEC and the CFTC behind closed doors, and they decided we're going to push these futures through so that it'll be a foregone conclusion that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, even though they should be put up to the same scrutiny that everything else is. But because a bunch of guys got together and colluded to make this happen, I mean, this is pure corruption, folks. That's what he doesn't want to talk about.
2024, maybe 2025, but we get regulatory clarity out of the courts on how XRP or Ripple is going to be handled. But yeah, I think no shot in 2024 personally. But I guess crazier things are happening.
I don't believe guys like him anyway, because unless you're going to talk about the elephant in the room, I don't trust you.
I haven't, to be honest, been paying super close attention to what's going on that front. But what I've been saying for the most part is anything other than Bitcoin or Ethereum, we likely need a little act of Congress or like a change of administration or some serious big time court decision to get these things across the line, to get any other sort of asset class or digital asset into a Bitcoin wrapper or into an ETF wrapper. Geez, I'm sorry.
No, great point. And I remember you mentioned that usually the process has been the futures get approved first, then. So that's a great point.
Wow. That guy just avoided the point is what he did. Vanguard Group owns 8.2% of MicroStrategy, the second largest of all holders. Somehow they find issues with Bitcoin ETFs. What this tells you is worse than Vanguard not liking Bitcoin. It tells you that they are either liars, charlatans, who haven't done their research, or both. Well, if I've learned anything about Wall Street over the last few years is that lying is just a way of doing business for them. And then we have this. Who's the real OG?
Questions. And I expect that there are quite a few questions. And the reason that I'm pleased to have Marcus here is, A, I knew him before he was at Ripple. And so I found it extremely intriguing that he decided to go over there. But in addition, for those who haven't really been following the whole cryptocurrency, and this is beyond cryptocurrency, blockchain, tokenization, the transformation of the wholesale markets, et cetera, debate carefully, it's very important to remember that Ripple predates Bitcoin. And I think that is an important aspect of kind of putting a stake in the ground that Bitcoin may have been popularizing things, but it wasn't the only force in town.
There you go.
And
Ripple, and when they say Ripple, they mean Ripple Pay predates Bitcoin even. Whoops. We're going to go over in DAIXRP.com, we're going to go over what pure evil is. I'm going to show you here in a second. And I'm going to show you what I believe the antidote is to the pure evil, using their own words. But then I'm also going to show you, there's most of the people listening to my voice probably in your gut, maybe not just in your gut, maybe on the surface. You believe that the price of XRP has been suppressed for many years. I believe it has. I believe it's actively been suppressed through multiple methods. Actively. That's part of the reason I'm excited about it. Because I don't think that can or will be sustained. But I'm going to show you one person's opinion on that suppression. We're going to go over that in DAIXRP 2. DAIXRP.com 2. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Go in DAIXRP.com. I'll show you pure evil and what I think can be done about it. And we're going to talk about XRP price suppression. Here we go.